Krishna, just give me a minute. Okay. No, just not. What is that? Okay. It's Vidvan. Nanmayam sati. Nāmāparādh vataha janasya bhagavad vaimukhyasya. Auchitya taduktam guru padashraya bhajana kriyadikamaphi na sambhavet. If this is so, one may then argue that if these offenses are so serious, then a person who commits Nāmāparādh becomes hostile to the Lord and thus cannot even take shelter of a guru or perform devotional activities, bhajana kriya. Satyam, this is true. Pravattamane mahajvara eva odanadir anarochakatva eva an upadanam eva nama aparadasya gadhatve sati tatra pumsi shravana kirtanadi bhajana kriya ya avakasha eva na syat ityatra ka sandeha. Just as during a serious fever, losing all taste for food, it becomes impossible to eat. A person who commits a serious offense loses all possibility of hearing, chanting, and performing devotional activities. Hearing, chanting, and performing other devotional activities. There is no doubt about this. Ityatraka sandeha. What is the doubt about this? Kintu jvarasya mridutve chirantanatve udanaderapi kinchit rochakattvameva. However, if the fever lessens after a long period of time, some taste for food, rice and other food develops. So this is like that. Bahudinataha bhogena aparadasya kshenavegatve mritve cha Bhagavad bhakto kinchinmatra ruchi syat iti pumsaha prasajjati bhakti adhikaraha. After experiencing the effects of aparadha for many days, the effects lessen. The force lessens. The vega, or the force of the reaction to the offense, that lessens. Mriditvecha, and that offense becomes lesser and lesser. The reaction to that offense becomes lesser and lesser. And the person develops a little taste for bhakti to the Lord. That person then becomes qualified for bhakti. In other words, there is something called bhakti adhikara. There's something lower than that called jnana adhikara. And there's something lower than that called karma adhikara. Eligibility for bhakti, eligibility for jnana, eligibility for karma. In all three of them, there is engagement in Navavida bhakti. To different degrees, of course. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's language, as it will be plain evident in his commentaries to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, there is he doesn't refer to everybody engaging in Navida Bhakti as a Bhakta or Bhakti Yogi. Bhakti Yogi is a very exalted expression in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's writings. It refers to someone who not only has as his ultimate goal eternal engagement in loving service to Krishna or his plenary portions, but also that you give the vast majority of your time and energy to engagement in one or more items of Navavida Bhakti. That person is said to be a Bhakti Yogi. That person is said to be a Bhakta. And eligibility for that is called Bhakti Adhikar, eligibility for Bhakti. Eligibility for that is what is known as eligibility for Bhakti Yoga. The Jnana Yogis, they also engage in Navavida Bhakti. Ashtanga Yogis also engage in Navavida Bhakti. Karma Yogis or Karmis, they also engage in Navavida Bhakti. Then you go, I mean, what's that? You may ask. And how are they not devotees? They're also daily engaged in Navavida Bhakti. The distinction is they are not primarily engaged in Navavida Bhakti. Navavida Bhakti has entered into their daily life, but it has not become the center of their daily life. So therefore, they are referred to as yogis or jnanis or karmis. That is also because they have as their ultimate goal the results that can be obtained through the yoga system, jnana system, or karma system, respectively. The Bhakta is interested in Bhagavan realization, the yogi in Paramatma realization, the jnani in Brahman realization. Then what about the karmi? The karmi wants to, instead of realization, let me use the expression experience. The Bhakta wants full-fledged direct experience of Bhagavan. The yogi wants full-fledged direct experience of Paramatma. The jnani wants full-fledged direct experience of Brahman. The karmi wants full-fledged direct experience of the subtle material world. There is a subtle aspect to the material world which can only be experienced by those who attain suitable celestial bodies, like the bodies of the devas and so on. Then what about the simple person, the Vishayi, the adharmic person? He wants full-fledged direct experience of the gross material world. So in this way, each has its respective distinction. And one needs appropriate eligibility to enter into a particular level. So this person, when he attains a little bit of taste or devotion service to Bhagavan, one or more items of Navavida Bhakti, he attains, it happens that he attains Bhakti Adhikara, eligibility to engage in Bhakti. Tatascha yatha poshtikkanyapi dugdhaudhanadini jirna jvaravantam umamsaha na pushyanti kinchit pushyanti cha kintu glani karshena nivartayatum shaknuvanti kalena aushadapatyayo sevitayo shaknuvanti cha. Even their nourishing foods like milk and rice cannot give their full power of nourishment to the person suffering from the lessened fever. They bestow some benefit, but cannot relieve him of his wasted condition. By an invalid diet and medicine, however, with time, these foods can have full nourishing effect. Tathaiva, In the same way, Tadrashasya bhaktyadhikarinah Shravanakirtanadini kalenaiva kramenaiva sakalam prakashayanti iti sadhuktam. After a long period of suffering the effects of aparad, the devotee becomes qualified for bhakti. Repeated doses of hearing and chanting the Lord's holy name and performance of other devotional processes gradually, with time, reveal everything. Everything means everything up to Prema Bhakti. That's correct. This translation is correct. Thus, it is correctly stated. Ādau Shraddha Tatah Sadha Sango Bhajana Kriyato Tato Nirtha Nivritisya Tato Nishtha, and so on. First, that is association with devotees, by which one gains faith. Then one associates with the devotees to learn the scriptures and then practices bhakti. The anathas are then destroyed. Steady bhakti without confusion follows, and so on. Kaishchit tu nama kirtanadi bhaktanam prema linga adarshanena papa pravritya cha kevalam aparadha kalpyate vyavaharika bahu dukkha darshanena cha api prarabdha nasha abhavaha cha. However, the absence of symptoms of prema and traces of sinful activity not traces of sinful activity in devotees who are practicing the devotional process, such as Nama Kirtana. It cannot always be attributed to Namaprad, nor can the presence of material distresses always be attributed to lack of destruction of previous karma. Aparadhatvena nirdharitasya jamilasya api swaputranama karana pratidana bhakda nama ahvana samayeshu api prema abhava dasi sangadi papa pravritti darshana. For instance, though Ajamila was without offenses, he did not, though Ajamila has been ascertained to be without offenses, he did not manifest the symptoms of prema, even though he named his son Narayana and called that name many times every day. Moreover, he was also inclined to a sinful relationship with the prostitute. Prarabdha abhavepi yudhishthirade vyavaharika bahudukha darshanacha. And Yudhishthira, though free from past karmic reactions, had to suffer many material miseries. Yudhishthira and others, the other Pandavas and Draupadi. Tasmat phalannapi vriksha prayasha kale eva phalati itivat niraparadheshu prasidadapi nama swaprasadam kale eva prakashayet. Just as a fruit-bearing tree bears fruit in due time, the holy name, though pleased with an offenseless person, and now offenseless person, will reveal his mercy in the form of symptoms of prema to him after some time, over time. Kale eva prakashayet. Purva abhyasat kriyamana paparashirapi utkhata damshro ragadamshraiva kinchit karaiva eva. Since the heaps of sinful reactions which are to be experienced due to previous bad practices are factually reduced to insignificance by the process of bhakti, like the bite of a serpent without his poisonous fangs, the sickness lamentation and other sufferings undergone by devotees are not due I'm sorry. Something went wrong with my connection. I have put a hotspot on in the background. Okay. The Lord himself has said, Yasyaham anugrishnami harisheta dhanam shanai tato dhanam tejantyasya svajana dukkha dukkhitam. If I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. Nirdhanatva maharogo madhanagrahalakshnam ityadi vachana. It is also said, the person with the malady of poverty is the object of my mercy. Literally, what this verse means is the great malady of poverty is a characteristic of receipt of my mercy. So there are statements like this. Yadi vachana. Svabhakta hitakarina tadiya dainyotkanthadi vardhana chaturrena bhagavata eva dukkasya diyamanatvat karma phalatva abhavena na prarabdhatvam ityahuhu. Since the Lord, thinking of the welfare of this devotee in order to increase his humility and longing for the Lord, bestows on him all sorts of suffering as his mercy. The suffering is not the effect of sinful actions in previous life. Ityahu. This is stated by the authorities. Okay, so this concludes the portion I wanted to take up with Nāmāśraya-bhakti. Just give me a minute. Let me. Okay, any questions? I'm going to switch over to a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Śrī Hari-nāma. That is the next book to be studied. And then either Vaishnava Ninda or Harinam Chintamani. Śrī Hari-nāma first because it is brief. And then I think either Vaishnava Ninda or Harinam Chintamani. And then the other book. And then selections from Bhajan Rahasya. And then we'll come to Prabhupada. Okay, any questions so far before I move up? Prem Goswami Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just want to check with you. Now you have completed the third shower, isn't it, from this book?
Yeah.
And that consists of what, chapters 5 and 6, or what is it?
What? I don't understand.
Which are the chapter numbers in that?
Of what?
Of the book.
Which book?
Madhurya Kadambini.
It is the third chapter.
Oh, third chapter is called as third shower. Okay. And
each chapter is called the shower.
And this book is available, a translation or something is available here in ISKCON?
Yeah, Nāmāśraya-bhakti is available. First of all, it's in the folio itself. Then on top of it, Bhanumara's translation is what I was reading out. There was an edition published by Dinabandhu Prabhu. It actually took Bhanumara's version, but he had other scholars go through it and made it even more accurate. It's a very fine work. I just am not able to locate it, nor did I scan it. It has, if I remember correctly, it has a photo of Gauranga dancing with arms raised. That was a very beautiful translation.
I have a copy. I have a copy.
You have a copy of that. So good. That is amongst the various English versions which I've seen. I was very impressed with that. Very impressed.
Yes.
I just don't have, that is not available in any digital format. So therefore, I'm not able to use it.
But it's available as a book, is it, for purchase?
Not sure if it is available anywhere else now. This was purchased long back.
Yeah, I also got it in the 90s actually.
Yeah.
maybe in Vrindavan. Actually, it'll be worth searching for it in, but I don't remember seeing it at Namhatta or Sankirtan. Both storerooms, shops in Mayapur. Maybe I should just trace out my own edition and then have it scanned and put up.
Yeah, if you can do that, that would be nice. Thank you so.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to Śrī Hari-nāma. Śrī Hari-nāma. Where is my book? Well, I don't have Śrī Hari-nāma with me. Okay, give me a minute. I need to extend my hard drive. The book can be found on the internet. That's what I'll do, so that you can also see how to get it.
Prabhu, I can share a digital copy.
Yeah, I'm just downloading it. It's just coming in after
Okay.
10 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. Okay, we will go to the translation directly. Contains the original in case anyone is interested. Okay. Obeisances unto Shri Sriman Chaitanya Deva. What I've done is every paragraph I've given a number to it for easy reference. There is no means other than the mercy of the Supreme Lord to cross over this insurmountable ocean of material existence. I'll also take the liberty to read out through the footnotes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is clearly declared in Bhagavad Gita. Devi Shesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratteya Mamevaye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. This is actually a booklet which was printed by Bhaktivinoda for mass distribution. And later Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also printed it for mass distribution. So everything that he wanted to say about the process of chanting is very carefully written and presented here in brief. Though superior to matter, the living entity is naturally weak and dependent. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes matter to be as inferior energy and the living entities to be part of his superior energy. Thus, the living entities are superior to matter. It is naturally weak. The living entity is naturally weak and dependent, for he is always under the control of either the Mahamaya or the Yogamaya potencies of the Lord. But the Lord alone is not under the control of either Mahamaya or Yogamaya. As Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur paraphrases Bhagavad Gita 7.26 in his commentary thus, Mayaya Swashraya Vyamoha Katva Abhavad Bahiranga Maya Antaranga Yoga Maya Cha Mama Jnanam Na Apranoti. Ma, not mam, mam, that's a mistake. Mam tu Kashana Prakrataha Cha Lokaha Maharudradhar Mahasarvagyopi Na Katsniyana Veda Yatha Yogam Yoga Maya Cha Jnana Avarana. Because Maya cannot bewilder her own shelter. Neither external Maya nor Yoga Maya covers my knowledge. But no person, material or spiritual, even a great omniscient person, such as the great Rudra, knows me fully as I am, because his knowledge is covered by Maya or Yoga Maya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is the living entity's controller, protector, and deliverer. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mayadhish, Mayavash, Ishvare, Jive, Bhed. The Lord is the master of the potencies, Mayadhish, and the living entity is the servant of them, Mayavash. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. Srila Prabhupada's purport on this verse clarifies the subject. So anyone who's interested can go through Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 6.162 purport. The living entity is minute consciousness. Therefore, he is a subordinate and a servant of the Supreme Consciousness. The Supreme Personality of God and the Supreme Consciousness is the shelter of the living entity. Here, the Jiva is called Anu Chaitanya, minute consciousness, and the Supreme Lord is called Parama Chaitanya, Supreme Consciousness. But isn't the Jiva a minute conscious entity rather than minute consciousness? Isn't the Supreme Lord the Supreme Conscious entity rather than Supreme Consciousness? The answer to these questions can be found in Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushan's introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, where he notes, Yadyapi, Samvit Swarupad, Samvit Vadinanyat, Prakasha Swarupad, Raveriva Prakasha Vadi, Tathapi, Vishesha Samarthyat, Sadanyatva Vyavaharaha. Even though conscious entities are not different from consciousness, even though a conscious entity is not different from consciousness, just as sunlight is not different from the sun, even the enlightened refer to them as though they are different on the basis of what is known as Vishesha, the power of variegatedness. Indeed, Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushan is referred to both the Jiva and the Supreme Lord therein as Anu Samvit and Vibhu Samvit, which are synonymous with Anu Chaitanya and Vibhu Chaitanya of Srila Bhaktivinoda. Samvit means consciousness, Chaitanya also means consciousness. This material world is constructed by Maya. The living entity's existence in the material world is nothing but the imprisonment of a punishable criminal. This is based on Lord Chaitanya's description of the position of the conditioned souls. Lord Chaitanya's description of the position of the conditioned souls to Sanatana Goswami and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhu Swarge Uthaye, Prabhu Narake Dubai, Dandya Jane Raja Jeno Nadite Chubai. In the material condition, the living entity is sometimes raised to higher planetary systems and material prosperity, and sometimes drowned in a hellish situation. His state is exactly like that of a criminal whom a king punishes by submerging him in water and then raising him again from the water. Dandya Jana. Dandya Jane comes from the word Dandya Jana, which means a criminal. The living entity's connection with Maya is due to his aversion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Meaning that when the living entity becomes averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he develops a relation with Maya. Then Maya captures him. Otherwise, Mahamaya has nothing to do with the living entity. There is no means other than favorable submission to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the living entity to be delivered from Maya. Bhayam dhrutiya bheve shatasya dishadapaitasya viparyayo smriti tan mayayato budha abhajet tam bhaktyayikayesham gurudeva tatma. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called Viparya-smriti, a reverse conception of life, or a reverse conception of life that is actually due to his forgetfulness of reality. Asmriti means forgetfulness. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. So this is the Bhagavatam verse that is quoted by Lord Chaitanya and is found in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur next summarizes the natural conclusion of the discussion so far. The living entity averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is bound by Maya. The living entity obedient to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is liberated from Maya. I have translated Bhagavad Anugata. Bhagavad Anugata as obedient to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, though it literally means following the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because following can be misunderstood to mean imitating. Srila Shukadeva Goswami informs us that there is no question of imitating the Supreme Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam. Stanza 2, translation. When conditioned souls obtain the Supreme Personality of God's mercy through spiritual practice, they become capable of cutting the very tight rope of Maya. After much deliberation, great sages have described 3 types of spiritual practice: karma, jnana, and bhakti. 3 types of spiritual practice. I have translated sadhana as spiritual practice throughout. Sadhana refers to the means by which one can attain a goal, which is called sadhya. In other words, sadhana means pursuit. A spiritual practice that pursues a spiritual goal, a spiritual practice in pursuance of a spiritual goal. In this context, great sages who are aware of the true nature of Bhagavata Dharma and their followers in Bhagavata Dharma, meaning the great sages who are directly aware of the true nature of Bhagavata Dharma, as well as the followers of those great sages in Bhagavata Dharma, in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord himself, have described the means for liberation from material illusion. These great sages are enlisted in Srimad Bhagavatam thus: Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Mano Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vayasakir Vayam Dvadashaite Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhata Guhyam Vishuddham Durbodham Yam Yatvam Nritamashmite. Lord Brahma, Bhagavan Narada, Lord Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, Grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, and I myself know the real religious principle. My dear servants, the transcendental religious principle which is known as Bhagavata Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord and love for him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated, and thus he returns home back to Godhead. Regarding 3 spiritual practices, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.6 states, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Yogas Trayo Maya Prokta, Nāmāśraya-bhakti, Jnanam Karma Cha Bhaktischa, Nopayonyosti Kutrachit. The Supreme Personality of God itself, my dear Uddhava, because I desire that human beings may achieve perfection, I have presented 3 paths of advancement: the path of knowledge, the path of work, and the path of devotion. Besides these 3, there is absolutely no other means of elevation. So 3 types of spiritual practice: karma, jnana, bhakti. It's very, very important that we have a clear, distinct understanding of the differences between these 3. These 3 are different. This is how I normally explain it. You might have heard it from me before. Don't get bored. I'm just going to point it out. If you go to 7th canto, 11th chapter, and look at the general principles to be followed by all human beings, you'll find 30 items presented. In these 30 items, we come across 9 types of devotion service. Navavidha Bhakti. Here it is. Navavidha Bhakti. That is called Bhakti. When Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, I have taught 3 processes, this is exactly what it means. This is the meaning of Bhakti in that list. Jnana refers to the first 21 items. From here up to here. First 21 items. And then in this list, you will find duties for men and women. Men have duties by the Varnas. Women have special duties called Śrī Dharma, the woman's duty. Whereas men have Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma. And then there are also considerations of Apat and Nirapat, crisis or non-crisis. So the duties for men and women also differ according to crisis or non-crisis. But all of that comes within karma. Jnana refers to those 21. Bhakti refers to those 9. Okay, translation of the next stanza. Various aspects of karma, such as Varnashrama Dharma, sacrifice, austerity, charity, and the performance of vows, have been mentioned in the scriptures. The Puranas, other than Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as Mahabharata and Dharma Shastras, contain abundant details of these aspects of karma. The varied results of those activities are described in all those scriptures. Upon analyzing those results, can be seen that enjoyment of Swarga, enjoyment of mortal happiness, Martya Sukha, human happiness, attainment of extraordinary capabilities, cure of diseases, and the opportunity to engage in superior duties are the primary results. Setting aside the result of the opportunity to engage in superior duties, it will be evident that all of the other results are illusory. All that the living entity attains through karma, enjoyment of Swarga, enjoyment of mortal happiness, attainment of opulence, and other extraordinary capabilities are impermanent. All of them are destroyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead's wheel of time. Brought out by Lord Krishna in Uddhava Gita. Antaraye ravihito yadi dharmas manushtita tenapi nirjitam sthanam yatha gachat tachuna. If one performs Vedic sacrifices and fruitive rituals without any mistake or contamination, one will achieve a heavenly situation in the next life. But even this result, which is only achieved by perfect performance of fruitive rituals, will be vanquished by time. Now hear of this. Ishtveha devata yagyai swarlokam yati yagikaha bhunjita devavat tatra bhogan divyan nijachita. If on earth one performs sacrifices for the satisfaction of the demigod, he goes to the heavenly planet, where, just like a demigod, he enjoys all of the heavenly pleasures he has earned by his performances. Swapunyopachite shubhre divana upagiyate gandharvair viharan madhye devinam hridya veshadhrik. Having achieved the heavenly planets, the performer of ritualistic sacrifices travels in a glowing airplane, which he obtains as a result of his piety on earth, being glorified by songs sung by the Gandharvas and dressed in wonderfully charming clothes. He enjoys life surrounded by heavenly goddesses. Srifih Kamaga Yanena, Kinkini Jala Malina, Kridanna Vedatma Patam, Sura Krideshu Nirvrataha, accompanied by heavenly women, the enjoyer of the fruits of sacrifice, goes on pleasure rides in a wonderful airplane which is decorated with circles of tinkling bells and which flies wherever he desires, being relaxed, comfortable, and happy in the heavenly pleasure gardens. He does not consider that he is exhausting the fruits of his piety and will soon fall down to the mortal world. Tavat samodate swarge yavat punyam samapyate, shina punyah patatyarvad anichan kalachalitaha. Until his pious results are used up, the performer of sacrifice enjoys life in the heavenly planets. When the pious results are exhausted, however, he falls down from the pleasure gardens of heaven, being moved against his desire by the force of eternal time. So everything comes to an end. All material happiness comes to an end simply over time. What to speak of destruction of the bondage to Maya through all those results? Over time, in combination with one's material propensities, the bondage to Maya becomes tighter. This is noted in Srimad Bhagavatam. Kapilo Vacha. Asayo griha medhiyan dharmane vavasan grihe kamamartham cha dharman swan dogdhi bhuyah vipartitan. The personality of God has said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again he acts the same way. Tachapi bhagavad dharma kamamudha parangmukha yajate kratuvir devan pitrimscha shraddhayanvitaha. Such persons are ever bereft of devotion service due to being too attached to sense gratification. And therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness, devotional service. Tat shraddhaya krantamati pitradevam vratahvaman gatva chandramasam lokam somapah punareshyati. Such materialistic persons attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon, where they drink an extract of the Soma plant. They again return to this planet. So they achieve what they want to within the boundaries and limitations that has been offered to them. But they become more and more obsessively attached to these material processes. Stanza 4, translation. If the superior duty is not actually engaged in, the result in the form of the opportunity to engage in the superior duty also becomes meaningless, as stated in the Bhagavatam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality. So the idea is this: there are 3 types of material duties, or 3 processes as enlisted by Lord Krishna to Uddhava: karma, jnana, and bhakti. Jnana and bhakti are superior to karma. So, bhakti duty and jnana duty are superior to karma duty. When we talk about jnana, we are talking of cultivating the mode of goodness. Basically, that's what it is. Bhakti is engaging in activities which are pleasing to the Supreme Lord by nature, and which is the actual soul's eternal duty in reality. Karma is just material duty. If you follow, you get some benefit, material benefit. Or you get the opportunity to engage in jnana and bhakti activities. And in fact, that is the greatest benefit of karma. Karma is the same as Varnashama Dharma. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is pointing out that the greatest benefit of Varnashama Dharma or karma is that you get the opportunity to engage in superior duties. But after you get the opportunity to engage in superior duties, if you don't engage in those superior duties, then it's a waste of time. The fundamental purport of dharma in the form of Varnashama is this: through a division of familial and bodily activities in accordance with one's conditioned nature, man's family and bodily maintenance can be carried out easily. When that happens, there will be plenty of opportunity for discussion of Harikatha. In other words, you get a lot of time with which you can engage in the activities of devotional service, the activities of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, which has been indicated through this expression Harikatha. Harikatha refers to Shravanam Kirtanam, but it is indicative, not exhaustive. It refers to other activities also. It is to maximize our engagement in Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu that Srila Prabhupada promoted the agrarian lifestyle prescribed in Varnāśrama-dharma. On a morning walk in Rome on 27 May 1974, Srila Prabhupada instructed, minimize your unnecessary waste of time, save time, chant Hare Krishna, go back to home, go back to Godhead. This is our idea. Instead of chanting 25 rounds, you chant 100 rounds. That is utilization of proper time. Now this you cannot get. This kind of freedom of time, freedom of mind, you cannot get if you choose to maintain your bodies and mind through any other system, including modern systems of livelihood and so on. They simply entrap you, they imprison you more and more. If despite finely observing Varnāśrama dharma, a person does not attain attachment to Harikatha through the practice of devotion service to Lord Hari, his activity of engagement in dharma is merely nothing but useless labor. This is Prabhupada's translation. We learn from Srimad Bhagavatam that 30 items, that every participant of Varnāśrama dharma is duty bound to engage in Bhagavata dharma. Such engagement in Bhagavata dharma is meant to lead to a taste for hearing Harikatha from realized Prema Bhaktas, which is the most important initial duty in spiritual progress towards the goal of Bhagavata dharma, Bhagavat Prema. Through karma, one cannot with certainty cross over the ocean of material existence. I have stated this in brief. Stanza 5, translation. The practice of dhyana has been described as a spiritual practice for conditioned souls to attain a higher destination. My battery is running low. This is dangerous. Actually, I'll stop with this better because it is just shut down any moment. Not any moment. But I'm just going to note down the Nāmāśraya-bhakti. Starting point is Stanza 5 of Śrī Hari-nāma. Okay, any quick question? Okay. Thank you. Something has been wrong. We have not been having electricity since morning.